Hello, everybody, my Meno and Hister Sisters community. Hope you are all well, and I'd like to thank you for stopping by on your stroll and being here with us today. Today, I have Dr. Pamela Moss, who is an international best-selling author of a book called The Soul's Guide to a Magical Life. And if you just look at that background of her, you know it is something really, really, really special. So I actually can't wait to get into the meat of this. But not only that, she also has a show that's called The Blockbuster Show, which is actually mind-blowing. So we're also going to discuss that as well today. And together, for the past 15 years, Dr. Pamela Moss has used this soul alignment system to help women reclaim their power. And as a men and woman, you know what I'm talking about. Recreate their lives and allow them to live life to the fullest again after difficult circumstances and challenges. So welcome, Pamela.
So glad we're here together to share some wisdom, maybe have some laughs, maybe some tears, I don't know, but just to talk about some things that are important and to see if we can shed light on how women can move forward, even when a lot of things in your life seem to not worked out, or you've come to a dead end, or it's time for a new phase.
Yes, absolutely. So how did you get into what it is that you do now? How did it start for you?
Well, for me, it started, I mean, this is not a path I expected to go on at all. I used to be an Ivy League academic, so I never would have thought of being a healer and a spiritual mentor. But the way it started for me, honestly, is I had an awakening kind of experience, which just took me outside of my normal view of life. And part of this awakening experience was I got this message that I should paint portraits of people that show the divine in them. And at the time, I was thinking, I'm not an artist. And I also was thinking, I'm not going to say the divine. People think I'm really weird.
How old
So
were you when you had this awakening experience?
44. Yeah,
But
I'm older than I look.
it's also at the precipice of the
Yes.
menopause journey.
Exactly, exactly. I think for a lot of women in midlife, there is something very deep and profound in us that says, if we're not like on the path that's true to us, like wake up, like you're not on course, like you're boom, And it can look like, a divorce or bad things happening that you don't want, but it's a necessary course correction. And for me, I'd been living mostly as a homeschooling mom, like very home centered. Our kids were born at home. We were like all about doing everything ourselves in a kind of hippie way. and and I wasn't really on track to be on the course in life that I needed to be on, to be all that I'm here to be. And I realized and later in hindsight that that happened because I met my first husband when I was 22. So I was pretty young to me in hindsight. And I realized really soon after meeting him, like, this is the guy I want to make babies with. Like, I love him. He's funny. He's brilliant. This is like, we get along so great. But I didn't realize that subconsciously, I also realized to be with him, I've really got to put away a kind of important part of me, the part of me that's very spiritual and is directly connected to source. Like he didn't even believe in psychology, much less spirituality. So I just was like, I'll just put that away. Which
As
is,
women, we do this, don't
yeah,
we?
we do. Women do this. We want to please our man or whatever.
Yeah, because we're more malleable, we're more moldable.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
end up doing that and burying a part of ourselves. And
Yeah.
then
Exactly.
the age happens, menopause happens, and
Yes.
this awakening, as you said, course correct, makes us look at that, address that. And yours was like a message, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a message. It was something I should do, which when I was given the message, I'm like, who, me? And that's often the case, I think, when we have that kind of awakening experience that we're called to do something more, be something more than we knew we could be. I mean, it's the path of rapid growth. If you want to grow like crazy, you start listening to intuition.
So was your message to actually paint portraits, or was there,
Yeah.
how did it come? Did it come in the
Oh,
form
yeah.
of words, images?
I'll tell you the story. It's really, I'll just tell you the story
I
because
love to hear it.
So I'd done this transformational course in New York City. And on my day off, I went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art because I knew there was an exhibit of Byzantine icons, like paintings of saints with gold leaf and all this stuff. I didn't know why it was so important to go see these Byzantine icons, but I need to be there. So I went there and I started realizing that the course I'd just taken was all about distinguishing between your ego and the story of who you were as an ego, which in my case was, I'm an idiot. Even though I'm smart, I would often blurt out things I really shouldn't have blurted out or whatever. So my inner story was, I'm an idiot. I would all the time say, oh, Pam, you idiot, when I would do something. So that was my identity. And then the course was also about who you could be as a possibility, like beyond your ego, beyond your identity. And I picked connection, freedom, and joy. And so like, that's who I really want to be. That's who I really am. It's kind of like a declaration. So I'm looking at these paintings of saints and I realized like, oh, that one is all about mercy and compassion. Oh, that's so beautiful. This one's about faith. Oh, and this one is about charity. Like each one of them I realized was like a possibility. And I started thinking like maybe a saint is just someone who practices being that all the time. Like that's what makes them a saint. And then I came in front of a painting of a Madonna and Child. And I grew up atheist. If I was anything, I was Jewish. But when I was looking at the Madonna and Child, they were just like beaming divine love into me, like unconditional love. And it was so powerful, it actually hurt my heart. Like I couldn't receive it. It was like, ow, ow, ow. It was such powerful divine love. And in fact, I started crying and I didn't want anybody to see I'm crying in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So I put my hands over my eyes and I'm just like, oh no, I hope nobody sees me. And my heart's like, ow, ow, ow. And then I heard these words, wouldn't it be amazing to paint portraits of ordinary people that show the divine in them? And the first thing I thought was like, oh my God, yes, that would. And then the next thing I thought was, I'm not an artist and I can't say the divine because people think I'm crazy. So, but it was because I'd gone to this course, which had just opened me up really wide. I didn't shut it down like I would have done probably in the past. I went home, I turned a corner of my bedroom into an art studio. I started painting and somehow I had forgotten, Dionne, I'm actually a very gifted portrait painter. Like even when I was a kid, I was really gifted at capturing people's portraits and I drew all the time. I'd copy old masters. Like I just forgot.
Professional art training, like it wasn't
No,
a
no
degree.
professional art training. I'm just naturally gifted at it. I mean, I practiced a lot as a teenager and but then I just put it away at some point. Actually, maybe not long before I met my husband. I'm not sure, but I put a lot of important things away, and I know I'm not the only woman to do that. And it's just our midlife is our chance to reclaim who we really are. And in my experience, we're many things. Like I discovered I'm really a gifted artist. I'm also an amazing healer. And who knew I'm a great writer? And like there's a lot of stuff we are capable of we don't even realize until midlife wakes us up.
How did the portrait work that you were doing guide you into this path of
Mm,
naming it the soul guide to a magical life? And what
mm.
you know what is the portrait painting? How did it unfold into you making a business out of it?
Yeah, thank you for asking, because it's just like everybody else's midlife journey, like an incredible story of miracles. Really. So basically, this case, so what happens? I had this inspired idea to paint these portraits, and the first person I thought of doing it with was someone I'd done this course with, because we were taken through this profound process over 5 days to get really clear about our ego identity and then our true identity, what's possible for us. So I want to just condense all that down to a conversation that would take like a couple hours, and I got help to do that. And I asked this person who'd done the course with me, like, hey, I got this idea to paint portraits of who you really are as possibility. I'd love to do that for you. Would you like that? She said, oh, that'd be great, but I don't know how much I could pay you. And I'm like, pay me? I could get paid to do that. And I can't remember if she paid me or not for the first one, but I did the first one. It was so much fun. Then the second one I did was of myself, and I did it looking in the mirror. So what this looked like is I'm painting a bit and look up and go, oh, you are not an artist. And then I did some more. Oh, what do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? So I actually ended up.
And your face changes as you're doing that. Your face
I
changes
actually drew
so
my
drastically.
Yes, I actually drew. I actually painted myself sneering without even realizing it. So I made a great portrait of my inner critic.
Yeah. So when it was finished, it was complete, and you looked at it, did you actually think that's my inner critic, or did you think, oh my God, that's what I look like?
No, I actually realized my father pointed it out to me because this happened. So that was the second painting. I did a lot of other ones, and I showed them on an art trail, and people would, and then when I would appear once a year have an art show with having them showing them again. And my dad came to the first art show and he said, you know, that painting of you, it's really kind of funny because it looks like you're kind of sneering. And that's the first time I looked down, like, it's true. And then I just started laughing because I realized it was my inner critic. Because I was a really good artist. I could capture my inner critic sneering. But but anyway, the portraits, it turned out that the portraits, having a visual image of you at your highest, the divine you at your fully expressed self, along with images from your life and words that are really key words that are important to who you are and who you need to be moving forward, like what you need to claim. It turns out that these portraits, which are all those things, are really powerful guides for growth and spiritual development. Which I had no idea of when I followed the inspiration to do them. And it turns out also that they are very profound guides to, you know, like daily guides. I started calling them magic mirrors because the ordinary mirror were like, oh, I'm getting wrinkles and like all that stuff. And these were instead reflecting you like, boom, here you are at your highest. And it really has an effect to have it to be reflected back to you on a regular basis, you know, the higher you, without even effort, you step into it.
So when you're doing somebody else's portrait, do you ask them to supply you with photographs, or do
Yes,
they sit for you?
they
Uh,
didn't. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. I'm excited. Go
it's
ahead.
okay. And these three words, do you also ask them to tap into what those three words are for them, like the
Yeah,
three words that they want to grow into or be seen as, and then
yeah,
collate, collate it all together and
yeah.
then come up with what you come up with? You know, does it also involve styling, that they sort of say, I want to be in this power pose, or
Well,
no?
let me tell you how the process worked. And this all came very intuitively to me, and I ended up leading workshops on it. It's like a big part of a core process that I teach. But fundamentally, what I do is I interview people. I would take like a 2-hour interview, like a really in-depth interview. And the first part of it was exploring what lights you up in life, because those are clues to your higher self, to you at your highest. So what lights you up in life? We'd also look at the shadow, like what are the gifts of your shadow, the things you fear and have struggled with and all of that. What are the gifts of that? And then the last question I would ask would be about what's it all for? Like, why are you here? And people, amazing things will come out of people's mouths, like their mission for their life that they hadn't even fully realized. So then we go through all the things that they had written, and I asked them to circle the words that were particularly resonant or powerful. Like for me, connection, freedom, and joy. And when I came up with those words, at first I thought connection just meant connection with other people. Because remember, I was an atheist, didn't believe in God or anything. And then I later realized, wait a minute, it means connection with God, with spirit, with source, too. Like it was way beyond what I thought. So they would pick out those words and we narrow it down to like the 3, 4, maybe 5 at the most, which are super powerful and resonant for them. And I would ask them for scenes from their lives or dreams or moments when they felt that, something they could visually represent those qualities of which are really aspects of them that want to come out and play. And so that's how that evolved. So that we were collaborating on it. It was more like a really deep inquiry and then narrowing it down to the essence, the power words, whatever you might want to call them, and creating the painting from there.
And is that how the magical life aspect comes into it? Because they are stepping into, you know, their divine self, as you put it in your own words. But
Yeah.
what came up for me is sometimes people don't feel that they actually have reached that. So in astrology, you have your ascendant and your descendant, so that which you're going to live into. So
Mm.
is that what the magical life?
Well, the magical life, the soul guide to a magical life is really about the journey that we're all on, whether we realize it or not. And the journey we tend to think of as a straight line, like, you know, I'm headed that way. That's what I'm going for. But really, the journey is much more of a spiral, and we have no idea what we're going for. We're in the dark, trying to feeling our way, like we don't know what we're doing. But the journey is the what is the soul guide to a magical life is the journey of following a calling, an inner knowing of this is what I should be doing. This is how I can make a difference. This is what would give me joy that we maybe had repressed for the first part of our life. And we were all about our man or our kids or our partner or whatever it was. or climbing the corporate ladder, whatever, when we weren't listening to our inner nudge for who we could be, or what we want to do, what's important to us. And so really the soul guide to a magical life, the soul guide part of it is really listening to your intuition, and uncovering all the guidance that you have and all the support that you have beyond what you know. And then the journey is really about what I found out by talking to a lot of people about their spiritual journeys is it seems like there's phases we go through. And so I learned a lot about each phase. So the book is also about like what it's like if you're in this phase or in that phase, how you can tell where you are, and the
What are,
challenges you can expect.
what are those phases?
Yeah, so the first phase is what I would call a sleepwalker, which is where we're just going through life, not at all conscious of what we're doing. We're just doing what's expected of us. Get up, go to bed, listen to the alarm, make the dinner, like just going through life like that. And then there's this exactly
Yeah, it's very, very robotic.
exactly, it is, because we're not awake. We're just doing the programs, that were installed in us from our parents or whatever. And then the first phase is the awakening phase, and we have a wake up experience. And it could be like mine. You go to some kind of a course or a retreat or something that makes your mind go, whoa, life is much more interesting than I thought. There's, for me and for I think many people, there's lots of awakenings, one after another, really, that just keep waking you up. It could be also painful things, the death of a loved one, or you getting sick, or all, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's something that makes you wake up out of the dream or the unconsciousness, the just automatic life, into the life which is purposeful, and the life which has potential for profound growth, which is our spiritual path. So the first phase is wakening up, being awoken, and then the next phase is really where you're the agent. So instead of just being awakened, you're actively doing things to make things happen. You're taking action. You're feeling great. You're starting your business, or you're taking up a hobby you never did before, or you're exploring, or taking a trip. You're stepping out of your comfort zone and what you've known. It's really exciting to be the agent, but it's also a time of huge challenges, because you're trying all these different things. They don't all work, and you run into roadblocks left and right, and you just like, I will triumph. Like the agent's all about doing stuff. And in each phase, you get to a place where you can't go on as you have been, because you've just come to the limit of the awakening part. I mean, then you step into the next level. So that the agent of action. But then there's a level beyond the agent, the one who's doing things. And that is the aspect of being the vessel. And the vessel is not so much that I'm doing it, but thou are doing it through me. Like that you're letting yourself be used. Exactly. Letting yourself be the container, the vessel, the messenger, the source. And that can show up as just, being loved no matter what with people in your life. Or it could be allowing messages to come through you, discovering you're a healer, like, or an artist, or whatever. But it's really a whole other level where you realize that the I that I think I am is, maybe there's an aspect of me that's beyond my identity, beyond me being the doer, or even the awakened one, but me being the vessel that allows higher consciousness to come through me. And the Soul Guide to a Magical Life was written in that way, actually, which I fought a lot with the book. The book wanted me to take dictation. I was like, but that doesn't make sense to my logical mind. And the book is just like rolling its eyes at me, like we had dialogues.
So how does the blockbuster bit come into it? Because I feel like it's at the second stage when one
Yeah.
has to get like nitty gritty.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's like when we start taking action, that's when we run smack dab into our inner resistance, because and it often sounds like, who do you think you are to do that? Or, inner imposter, like lots of names for it. But it's a typical experience of like we're stepping way outside who we know to ourselves to be. And that's very uncomfortable. I mean, it can be exciting at the period of growth, but it's also like you're going to run into one obstacle after another, which is basically asking you not to give up and go home, but like, are you courageous enough to keep going? Will you take the next step? So that's all about busting through blocks, because the subtitle of the Soul Guide to a Magical Life is how to remove your blocks to your greatest calling. Because your greatest calling is to be fully and utterly you, the unique soul that you are, bringing your gifts, your love, your talents, your losses, your everything to life, so that you can really be of the highest service to others and grow like you've never known you could grow. And the
That sounds
book, what's in the way.
But before you go into a bit more detail about the show itself, what would you say is the biggest challenge for a midlife woman? And how
Mm.
can she transform that challenge into a magical life?
Yeah. Well, first of all, everything that happens to us in our magical life is for our good. I really believe that, even things that are incredibly painful. So that may sound like a weird thing if we've lost a loved one, or if we've had a terrible illness, or something has happened that we thought was really bad. There's still tremendous gifts in it. And the way that we are awoken and grown and become vessels and enlightened people is that we don't let them stop us. We actually learn from them, like, what are the gifts of the situation which feels so painful or scary. And that takes tremendous courage. Like, it's just the way it is. It takes tremendous courage and willingness to find the gifts that are hidden in the shadow. And that's what a lot of the work is. So for a lot of midlife women, it depends kind of where you are. If you're in the sleepwalker phase, your big challenge is wake up. And if you're in the phase of being woken up, your big challenge is, well, do something about it. Take action. Don't just think about it. Do something. And if you're doing something, the big challenge is, okay, stop trying to work all the time and make it all be about you. Let something higher come through you. So there's always like a next phase, and sometimes they go back, and we sometimes go through dark night of the soul, where everything seems like all is lost. But that's I mean, so it depends where you are.
Yeah, that's no, thank you for answering that. It's an excellent response.
I'll just let it come through.
Channeling it, or
Exactly, whatever we want to call that. We all have access to higher knowledge, and sometimes we just quiet ourselves down and we listen and we just let it come out.
I would love for you to put it into the perspective of the exercise of your blockbuster show.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
pick a menopausal woman. You
Okay.
start at any one of those three roads,
Right. Yeah.
and
The phases, really. We all
those
go. Mhm.
phases, and give her a blockbuster moment. What
Oh,
exactly
sure.
would
Yeah.
you do for her?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, just first of all, when I'm doing the blockbuster show, I'm just being with people, being present with them, and listening to what they're saying. And in what they're saying, it usually stands out to me, like, what's the block? But the typical blocks, like ones that we all face, like if you're in the phase when you're just sort of being an automaton and doing what you need to do and not really thinking much more than just what your daily tasks are about, or whatever your worries are, the big block for you is to realize you're more than just your daily routines or your ordinary identity. Like, you're so much more. And for a lot of people, that will show up as, just vague dissatisfaction. Like, I don't really like my job, and I'm not so fond of my partner. I'm kind of sick of the kids, or whatever it is. And that dissatisfaction is actually a call to find real meaning. It could be find real meaning in the life as you're living it now, or it could be like maybe you need to change your circumstances, but it's a call to get out of the automatic default programming that we have. So I would, for that first phase, I mean, if you're listening this far, that may or may not be you, but because if people are in the automatic sleepwalker phase, they're basically not questioning things. So something has to happen to make them go, wait a minute, how did that happen? What is going on here?
I hope that slap didn't hurt.
No, it didn't. Yeah, that.
So how did the blockbuster show come into being? Were you halfway through the book and you realized that this is the thing that would really break down those blocks
Right.
for a woman?
In the book, I talk about so many different ways you can break down blocks, because blocks are just they're basically just our inner resistance to being all that we are. And there's lots and lots of ways to break through them. So, like, I mean, I don't even know how to answer that, because there's so many ways to break through them.
How
But
did the blockbuster
I'll have
show?
the show. The show actually was another inspired idea. I just got the title, The Blockbuster Show. I thought, oh, that's clever. But I'm not really making movies. And I was like, wait a minute, it could be about busting through blocks. and it just, at that point, I've been doing this kind of work for like 15 years. At that point, I knew without doubt that no matter what someone's dealing with, I can help them experience a shift, in relatively short time. Because humanity, despite how unique and distinct we all are, our programming is very similar. And there's not anything really new under the sun. So
And how can somebody find your show?
the best way to do that, let me think how I can do this. Well, at the moment, it's just streaming in my Facebook group, but we're putting it into a podcast, which would make it a lot easier for people to find it. If let me see how I can say this. Yeah,
What's the name of your Facebook group?
yeah, so the Facebook group is called the Soul Guided Entrepreneurs. So if you're not an entrepreneur, that's okay. You could still join it. That's where the Blockbuster show is. And what I can do is I can send you the link to the afterwards, Dionne, so you can put it in there for people who are interested.
I will do. I'll do that.
Okay.
And do you think when your podcast come out, it's going to be the title's going to be the same, or should they look
I like it to be. I think it's.
Pamela?
I think it's
Pamela Moss?
a good title, so I want to keep it the
Oh,
same. Yeah.
definitely, definitely. I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was an inspired idea. I wouldn't say, "Go away now." I like it. In
And
fact, I
I'm
have
going to be on your show as well. Very,
you are, and I have to say, like, one of the things I love about doing the show, in addition to helping people have a breakthrough, is I just so appreciate the courage of the human spirit and people coming on and sharing really pretty vulnerably about stuff they're dealing with.
oh, don't get me wrong, I'm scared.
I get it.
I'm really,
That's
really
that's
scared.
what courage is, though. You're scared and you do it anyway. It wouldn't be
Feel
courage.
the fear and do it anyway.
Exactly. That's what we call courage. And it comes from the French core, your heart. It's like your heart being open, even though you're scared, is courage. And it's so, and the thing about it is it's so inspiring to other people to see someone being courageous, that when my experience, people watching the show are always really supportive, and they really they're inspired by the people who are just being real about the stuff they're dealing with, because we're all dealing with stuff, and it's not like you're a freak of nature. You're a lot like everybody else. Everybody has struggles.
Well, I'm definitely a freak.
Yeah. Okay, you're a freak, Dionne.
Well, I would like to thank you. Thank you for coming on my show. But
My
before
pleasure.
you go, I love to do a quick fire round, question and answer, so you can answer them as quick as you can.
Okay.
And they're not about your show or your book or your coaching. It's just about you. That actually get an insight to you.
Okay.
Just say what your preference is as they come along. Okay, really quick.
Okay. Just a game. Yeah.
Yeah. Tea or coffee?
Tea.
Favorite animal?
Right now, I'm just saying lion. I don't know why.
That's it. A book that changed your life?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. I'll just say, ask and what's it called? Ask and you shall receive, the Abraham Hicks book by Esther Hicks. Yep.
Good one, good one. Best country you've experienced?
I love Italy. I also love a lot of other places, but Italy, I guess I'll say that.
Favorite movie?
Ooh, let me see. Boy, my mind's kind of drawing a blank. I actually saw The Matrix for the first time last night, which is kind of crazy.
Okay. Are you one of those people that everybody goes, oh my God, it was really, really great, you've got to watch it, and then you go, no? Is that
I don't know how I just didn't get around to watching it, but I finally did last night. I've seen little pieces of it. You can't help it, but
wow. What song you played on repeat?
actually, lately I've been playing the first song I wrote. I just wrote a song last week, and it's called "Gotta Let Go, Gotta Let Go."
Oh, wow. I hope that's going to be like the intro of your podcast.
Oh, that would be a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Oh,
I want to hear it. So
I could even play it for you because I have it on my computer, but it may not be the right time to do it.
yeah, no, that's okay. Send it to me and we put it before and after this.
Okay, I will do that.
Love
Yikes.
Yeah, put it out there. Just put it out there. I mean, you did it,
Okay.
you announced it, you were brave enough to say that you did that. So yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I'll do that. That sounds fun. I'm willing to do that. Remember, it's my first song ever.
Yeah, yeah. What's the thing that you wish you would have done differently in 2020 at the start of the pandemic?
Wow, 2020 was a great year in my business. Everybody's home, everybody's wanting to do something. And I just work with people like nonstop. I was exhausted, actually. So I kind of told myself, well, that was fun, but also exhausting. I don't want to have to work that hard anymore.
Favorite morning ritual?
Actually, dialoguing with my trusted guidance, what I trust for guidance, and getting messages and instructions for the day, and doing deep work.
Oh, wow. And the last thing you binge watched on your box, on your TV?
Let's see, what's the last thing I binge watched? Bridgerton, that was a while back. Let's see, what would it be? I don't watch TV that often. That's part of the issue. My sweetheart watches TV a lot, so sometimes I'll sit down with him. But I think it might have been Bridgerton.
And what is that?
Oh, maybe they don't have it in the where you are in the UK. It's a show which is supposedly set in England in the 18 and the, like Jane Austen times, and it's a very racially mixed society. They keep the modern gender roles, but they totally ignore that there's anything such as race, which is kind of fun and interesting how they do that. And it's just a funny sort of frothy,
Yeah.
romancy kind of show. Yeah.
It means that we do have it. I don't have a TV myself, so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
at what I watch. So there are people here that would know that.
Bridgerton, I should think they would, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's made here.
it's
Um,
fun.
yeah, well, thank you very, very much for that. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
What is you're going to leave our viewers with a gift. Would you like to
Oh,
keep
yes.
explaining?
I
Uh,
would like to explain it. Yes, thank you for asking. So the gift I'm going to give you with, and there's actually two things. One of them is I'll have my email or contact information if you want to reach out directly. Feel free. I'd love to talk to you if you have questions or whatever. The gift I want to give you though is what I call a soul alignment assessment. And what you can do is if you have a goal, something that you want to create in your life, but you're seeming like you can't do it, or it's really hard or takes a long time, the soul alignment assessment will tell you exactly what inner work you need to make it happen. So it's very cool to have, you'll leave with a recipe. You'll know exactly what you need to do. And if you want help going through it, I'm happy to help you, but it's a really powerful process for identifying exactly what you need to transform and how to do it.
that sounds so useful. Oh, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much for giving that to our viewers. Really appreciate it. And
Awesome.
is there a question that I haven't asked you that you wished I would have done?
Hmm. Nothing's coming to mind. You did a lovely job. Like I think it was very thoughtful, interesting questions and fun. And is there
Can
anything else?
I ask one more?
Yes, please.
So a lot of your work sounds very much, it's more spiritual than it is coaching.
Oh yeah,
And
I'm not
I
coaching.
actually didn't realize that
Mm,
to the
yeah.
extent.
Yeah, no,
And
that's,
one
I'm sorry, I'm getting excited, but I'll listen to your question. I'm sorry. I get excited sometimes, like,
I
okay,
want
your
to
turn.
be walking a spiritual path in the way that you are.
Mhm. You
There's a
said,
lot of
what's it
openness
like?
to channel, one has to be really open as a vessel to channel that in.
Yeah, yeah.
And you explained it from the beginning, from the first question, as it's starting with the awakening of a message being received. But awakenings don't just happen to everybody.
Mm,
They happen also to people that have the ability to listen for it,
mhm.
for it to happen in the first place. So what in essence makes you the person you are to therefore receive such gifts?
Well, I think there's two things. One of them, and both of these sound easy, but are quite challenging to practice. So one of them is to really to take on that maybe everything that happens to you is your creation. Like you're not a victim. And that takes some doing to really see, well, what's my part in this, and to really even ultimately to claim all of it. Like I'm creating all of it. I'm inviting people into my life who treat me in a certain way so I can grow like that. So that's a pretty profound part of the spiritual path, is no blame. Like it's all my creation, and that's actually an act of power to do that. So that's part of it, is being willing to see
Yeah,
all the
take
creation.
responsibility.
Yeah,
So
even if it does, if you seem like you're a victim, like the whole thing about writing the song, for decades, I thought I can't make music because my dad wouldn't let me. And I went to this retreat and I realized like my dad not only couldn't stop me if I really wanted to, he's dead now and I can write music. So I realized it was just an excuse I've been living for years about why I couldn't make music, which was, basically just a lie, a deceit, a trick I'm playing on myself. Oh, I can't do that because, we're capable of doing so much more than we think we are. So there's taking responsibility for everything. And the other thing is finding a way, no matter what, to bring love to the situation. And I don't mean love like, little hearts and flowers. I mean love, like opening your heart up and being willing to hold it open, even with somebody who potentially seems like wants to hurt you, with the intention of actually bringing so much love and forgiveness and how do I want to say, seeing that in others, that you can cause transformation. And I've experienced this in my own life. With my first husband, we managed to separate with love and with peace because I practiced letting love win, which felt like when we were struggling, having arguments and just going through a really painful time, that he was trying to control me and dominate me. But I realized that what I could do, even in that situation, is I could ask myself, what would it look like for not for him to win or me to win, but for love to win? And that would always show me the higher perspective. And through practicing that, we overcame so much crap, so much resentment and hurt and pain. So we could actually hold hands, signing divorce papers and hug afterwards. And they're saying like, why are you getting divorced? But really, so practicing love in a profound way and practicing self-responsibility in a profound way are the two biggest gifts and challenges of the spiritual path. And what I'm doing with people, you're right, is not coaching. I'm not telling you what to do at all. I'm helping people tap into their own inner knowing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for these great questions.
Well, thank you for being here and allowing us to get an insight into your world and for you to be open for us to come to you in these challenging times, such as menopause, so you to help guide and mentor us through it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dionne. I really feel I'm really moved by just what you've said and just the way you've been. So thank you so much.
So everybody, there's going to be a link above, below. Me and Dr. Pamela always cry. One of us always cry on seriously, look, she's welling up now. It always happens. It was not me.
We're just being present. This is when you're really present with another human being. It's so beautiful and moving. I mean, why would you not cry?
So yeah, tap on that link, get her freebie, answer it as truthfully, as rawly as you possibly can, get that tip, and if it works for you, then contact her because she would love to help you further.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I'm gonna send my contact information. I'm gonna send you the soul alignment assessment, which actually teaches you how to tap into your own inner yes and no on a deep level, which even if you get nothing else out of it, will be really helpful. And then how to do the assessment. And the third thing is I'm going to boldly and bravely share my first song that I wrote, that I just wrote last week.
And I want to say about the questionnaire is that as a menopausal woman, you know that our guidance system of what to do is very, very confusing right now. We're pulled in so many different directions, and we're so lost because there's so much being pushed down for the sake of the family. Yes. So please do take this test.
Yeah. And the test it teaches you two different ways that work for most people to be able to tap into your inner yes and no, your inner knowing. And those tools in themselves are a really powerful way to step into your higher knowing. So one of them is using a pendulum, which you can make out of a key attached to a string or a necklace or whatever. The other one's a way of doing what's called self-muscle testing. And together they work for like 90-something% of people to do as ways to tap into your inner knowing. And that will really be helpful for you for any situation you're in. Like, is this a yes or just a no? And else doing the assessment.
So thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.